Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy IntroSpecktive, and welcome back to the IntroSpecktive Podcast over here exclusively on UCast Studios on YouTube. As always, make sure to subscribe to UCast Studios so you can get all the weekly podcast content from myself and the other people on this channel. A lot of great stuff, a lot of gaming topics, sports topics, all sorts of things. If you're into Pokemon, if you're into the NBA, if you're into anime, this is like a one-stop shop for you. So I really hope that you guys consider subscribing and following the channel as it grows. We're really trying to build something cool here. And yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in for yet another week. It's been quite an interesting few weeks in gaming. It seems like in this last quarter of the year, it's really starting to heat up. Nintendo is doing some big things with some of their big IPs. Obviously, we have the Mario 3D All-Stars, we have the Age of Calamity, Breath of the Wild, Pokemon DLCs coming out. There's some news coming out for it tomorrow, so there's a lot going on with Nintendo. Obviously, with Microsoft, they made their huge play buying out Bethesda, and Sony is also getting ready to release the PS5, and PS5 pre-orders were a huge deal. Sold out almost instantly. There was huge news about that. People were angry. People were, selling them for insane amounts of money, and just all the things that you would expect a giant new gen console release to encapsulate, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's going on. It's going on with Sony right now. Microsoft is making huge plays, and Nintendo is over here doing their own thing too. And once again, my dog is barking. He doesn't bark all day long, and then I start recording the podcast, and he just has to start barking. But I don't know if you can hear that. Who cares? We're moving on. Back to the original format this week. I know the last couple of weeks I've been discussing major news because there's just been so much of it. But I thought this week we could go back to the classic Twitter format where it's a Q&A style. You ask me questions, I answer them. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that I found interesting on my tweet from earlier today. And I'm going to start with at Mick Robs. Thank you for the question. Says, how do you feel about the Pokemon DLC model? This is pretty topical with the news tomorrow. So apparently Pokemon is coming out with a little mini direct of their own tomorrow to discuss the Crown Tundra DLC. I think it's the Crown Tundra. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it is Crown Tundra though. There was the two expansions, and the Crown Tundra I believe is the one coming up. There was a lot of disappointment with the first expansion, a lot of glitches, a lot of bare bones content not being worth the price. People played it, beat it in one day, and were like, this isn't worth $30. I think the Pokemon DLC model for this particular gen has been awful. Absolutely awful. I am not a fan of what Pokemon has done with Gen 8 pretty much at all. I really think that the game was rushed. I really think that it was lazy in a ton of areas. I think that as far as gameplay went and everything, it's Pokemon, so it's gonna be fun because it is Pokemon and they're just sticking to that classic Pokemon formula that we all know and love, and it still works. But for the first mainline Pokemon game to be on actual big console like the Switch, not handheld. The Switch technically is handheld, but you know what I'm saying. For it to be on home console for the first time in the mainline series, it was a huge disappointment. I don't think that they even came close to fulfilling my expectations for a main console mainline Pokemon game, or the expectations of the majority of people who played it. I think even the biggest Pokemon apologists in the entire world at this point will tell you that they aren't great games. They're passable games. They're acceptable games. I don't even know. I don't even know if acceptable is something that I could say about these games. I really don't know if they're acceptable, because in a lot of ways, it's just lackluster. It's just lazy. It's rushed. It's not to the standard that we've held the Pokemon series to in the past, at least with the big gen games. I mean, obviously there's some pretty terrible like spin-offs and stuff, but as far as expecting each generation, you expect good things. And I think Gen 7 kind of started to dip in quality a little bit. I think 6 for me was really where I started to not enjoy the mainline games as much. A lot of people like XY. I personally am not a huge fan of them. For me, it was definitely a dip. I think Gen 5 was the last like completely solid gen that I will say with confidence, like, that is the Pokemon that I know and love. That is what makes Pokemon great, is gens 1 through 5. Even though Gen 1 is pretty bad objectively, I still think that it was, the solid foundation for what's to come. So if you really want to say Gen 2 through 5 and then all of the remakes and everything that come with it, I think that's like what everyone loves the most about Pokemon. I think that's like generally accepted. Like, that is like the golden era of Pokemon. And then 6 is like, you either love it or you don't love it, or you hate it, I should say. I think most people who love it grew up with it, and it's just like their first Pokemon game. For me, from someone who started from Gen 1, I could kind of see like a dip in quality when I got to 6 that I didn't really see at all through the first 5 gens. And then Gen 7 was a big disappointment for me. I really didn't enjoy that game much. And then Gen 8, it was a major disappointment for me. I was really, really, really disappointed in Gen 8. The whole National Dex thing, not including every Pokemon, that's whatever. I just enjoyed the fact that I think the thing that I liked the most about the game was the Galar region Pokemon. I think that there was a lot of cool new Pokemon. I really like some of the typings, like Grimmsnarl, for example. I really thought it was cool that he was like a dark fairy type. I thought that was a sick typing. I liked the Apple Dragon line. I thought that was really cool. I think there was some really solid designs and ideas and new moves and stuff for Pokemon that came from this gen. But I think everything else pretty much for me was very disappointing. I didn't think Gigantamaxing and Dynamax was that great. I really, it didn't bring me that much hype. It wasn't enough for me to completely carry the game, because that was kind of what they put all their chips on, was this new concept of Dynamaxing Pokemon in battle and stuff. And for me, it was it was just a gimmick that wore off quick. By the third or fourth gym, I was like, okay, we know that they're gonna throw out their strongest Pokemon, they're gonna Dynamax it, then you Dynamax one of yours. It made no difference to me. It was pretty boring in my opinion. All the Pokemon types did the exact same Dynamax move. If you're a fire type, you did the same move as the other fire types and everything. So it was just boring to me. It wasn't that great of an idea. I really would have liked to see voice acting in the game. I don't know why there wasn't voice acting. I get that it's Pokemon and that's not usually a thing, but for a modern home console game on one of your biggest franchises, and quite possibly the biggest gaming franchise of all, Pokemon, for it to not have voice acting, come on, man. That was a terrible mistake by them. I think that was a straight up mistake. I think that the next gen definitely needs to have voice acting. I thought the story was bland because of it. No matter what they did with the story, it just felt a lot more boring to me because it just didn't have the voice acting. I don't know why you're gonna have a fully 3D rendered world, and I mean, I shouldn't say fully 3D rendered. I mean, a lot of it was poorly rendered and stuff. But I don't know why you're gonna make this huge home console release with this big world and taking it to the next level, and then you don't go the entire way with it. It was very disappointing for me. So to answer your question about the current DLC business model, I think that they took a very bare bones experience, a very incomplete game, and then for them to charge $30 for an expansion of an already incomplete game, and that expansion not even doing enough to make the entire game feel whole, I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible. I am not supporting it. I am not buying the DLC. I do not support the Crown Tundra whatsoever. In fact, the only way that I would buy it is to make a video on it, and I don't even know if I want to because I'm not very interested in it. I didn't buy the first DLC. I didn't play that, but I watched a lot of gameplay of it, and I was disappointed. And I am not supporting the Crown Tundra either. I do not think Game Freak deserves my money. And I played the base game. I bought the base game. I played it one time, and I haven't touched it since. It's just really unfortunate. I was really hoping that it would be just a phenomenal experience as someone who's loved Pokemon literally my entire life. I have been a fan of Pokemon since the beginning when it came out. I'm 28 now, and Pokemon came out when I was a young kid, and I grew up with it and played it, and as an adult, I still love Pokemon, and for me to have to see where the franchise is, like, headed, it's very disappointing because, you know, it's just like a blow to my childhood, and it sucks to see. It's hard to see, and even the modern kid, you know, this day and age who's just growing up with this stuff, I could see them not even getting into Pokemon as much as someone like me who grew up with it, because of how bad it's become. It's really like become a shadow of its former self, and I'm very disappointed, and I really hope that they can do something to change it, because it's not looking good. I will say the new Pokemon Snap game looks good. It looks significantly better visually than Gen 8, which I find hilarious. It's like, hey, you're making a spin-off game that looks 100 times better graphically than Gen 8, which isn't really saying much because Gen 8 is probably the ugliest looking AAA mainline game on the Switch, like by a long shot. Like it looks like an indie game. It looks bad, and I'm not saying, you know, indie games all look bad. There's some gorgeous indie games out there. I mean, absolutely gorgeous indie games out there. But I'm talking like if you're a multi-billion-dollar studio like Game Freak, and you put out a product that a small, like a very, very small indie game company could put out visually, then there's a huge problem with that, because no other AAA game on the Switch looks even remotely close to as bad as Pokemon. Not even a game like Astral Chain, which, you know, is a brand new IP or anything. It looks significantly better than Pokemon. So it's ridiculous to me. Like when you put Pokemon side by side to Luigi's Mansion or Odyssey or Breath of the Wild or any of these games, Animal Crossing even, like when Animal Crossing is, you know, has a very minimalistic visual style, you can still see the amount of polish that it has compared to something like Pokemon. So I was extremely disappointed with Pokemon, and I think the DLC model that they're going with is it's really a slap in the face. It really is a slap in the face, and I am very, very disappointed that Pokemon is going this route. And now with their new arena game, I don't even remember the name of it because I don't care. It's with Tencent, which is like the worst company of all time. It's just like, man, like what is Pokemon doing, dude? It makes like I know you can't see me right now, but I'm like massaging my temples. Like I have a migraine just thinking about like how bad Gen 8's been. It's been a debacle. And, you know, I don't think there's really like an outcry for it anymore because you know, it's just dead in the water and no one even cares. But when it was coming out and everything, and all these people were being apologists, oh, it's not that bad, it's got to just wait for DLC. Okay, I waited for DLC, and guess what? The DLC is horrible. There's glitches, there's there's not enough content to justify a $30 purchase. Like, it's just bad. It's bad, and I am very, very disappointed in Pokemon. By far the most disappointing franchise for me over the last few years has 100% been Pokemon. It's a travesty. I'm moving on. I could talk about it all day, but I'm moving on. So thank you so much, Mick Robs, for the question. Amiibo Coach says, Twilight Princess or Wind Waker? I like Twilight Princess a lot. I really like the wolf mechanic. I really like Midna. I really like the visual style. I really like the gameplay. I think Wind Waker is a great game, but I don't think that it's a top tier Zelda game. I think on its own, it's still a great game. Like, if you just played Wind Waker, you'd be like, this is an objectively good video game. But if you put it with Zelda, I think that it's just a good Zelda game, for me. I really didn't like the combat as much. I thought that it was, I just didn't really like the way it felt. I felt like it was a lot more time-consuming. I didn't feel like it was as challenging as it was just time-consuming, where you're knocking down opponents, you wait for them to get up, you knock them down, you wait for them to get up. I really love the art style. The visual style is fantastic. Probably one of my favorites in all of Zelda is Wind Waker. It's just the way the bombs explode, the way the smoke looks, the very bright colors, the way the wind flows through the sails, Link's facial expressions. All of the visuals are fantastic. It's a very beautiful game, especially the HD version. It looks fantastic. But I really didn't like a lot of the combat. I didn't like a lot of the open ocean, traversing. I thought that was, again, it just felt like a supplement for something. Like, it's just like, oh, you're floating from one island to the next, and hey, going from point A to point B, this is gameplay. And you play 20 hours of Wind Waker, and it's like, hey, but how much of that was just like sailing around the ocean, like looking for treasure chests and stuff? It's, to me, it's there's a lot of elements that kind of just take away the Zelda experience for me. And a lot of the Zelda experience for me is exploration, but like exploration in dungeons or towns or castles, stuff like that. I really didn't enjoy the ocean exploration as much as like just the pure ability to like run into an actual area, like a dungeon, like a temple, like a castle, like a town, and really sink my teeth into it. I kind of just got bored of the ocean aspect of the game. I can understand why the ocean aspect of the game is so prevalent. I mean, the whole theme of the game, but it just didn't really work for me. And I really enjoy Zelda 3D combat a lot. And for me, Wind Waker's combat was my least favorite of the 3D Zeldas, for sure. So yeah, I think Wind Waker is a fantastic game, but I would just say that it's a good Zelda game. And that's just a testament to how good Zelda really is. That I think that like Wind Waker is like mid-tier Zelda, because there's all these other games that are just so unbelievably good. But no, I don't think Wind Waker is a bad game. I think people who say that it's the best Zelda game ever and it's like God's gift to humanity and it's the best GameCube game ever, I think that they completely overrate it. I respect their opinion, but I think that it's overrated in that aspect. I wouldn't say that's overrated if you just said this game is fantastic. This game is it's just an excellent, well-made video game. I don't think that's saying it's overrated. But for someone to be like, oh, it's the greatest game on the GameCube, it's the definitive Zelda. Like, if you have never played Zelda, this is the one to pick up. Like, I think that's overrating it a little bit. But that's just my opinion. Still love Wind Waker, but I would definitely pick Twilight Princess over Wind Waker any day of the week. Have I ever played Plants vs. Zombies? This is from Afton's the Guy. Yes, dude, I have played Plants vs. Zombies, and let me tell you, I love Plants vs. Zombies. My favorite genres of games are JRPGs is number one. Always will be. I really love MOBAs. And then I really love tower defense games. I am like obsessed with tower defense games. Monkey Balloons is a huge favorite of mine. All of the classic malls and tower defense games on the old Warcraft servers that were modded and everything, I grew up on, played tons of growing up as a kid. Probably more than actual Warcraft. I played I played tower defenses and Dota, probably more than actual Warcraft. But yeah, I just loved tower defenses growing up. Desktop tower defense where you could like build mazes and things was really cool to me. And then Plants vs Zombies came along, and it's really like the first of its kind, where it's kind of like this like linear plane, and they're like trying to get through like your towers instead of like directly like going through your towers instead of you like building a maze or building towers along a path. They're like trying to rip through your defense, and I thought that was so cool. I really love the visual style. I love all of the different types of flowers or towers and plants, from the walnuts that you know put at the front to block, to the pea shooters were really cool. Just everything about the game was so great, and it's one that I constantly go back and play. I don't think I've ever gotten bored of Plants vs Zombies. I have developed different strategies. I've played through it countless times. It's one of my favorite games. I love Plants vs Zombies. Someone asked me that. I just had to just gush about Plants vs Zombies real quick. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of any type of strategy game, Plants vs Zombies, go buy it. It's great. Thank you for that question. Panda For Life says, what's your favorite and least favorite Mario game from 3D All-Stars? I'll preface this. First off, thank you for the question. I'll preface this by saying that I love all three of the Mario games on the collection. 3D Mario is my favorite, 3D platforming kind of game there is. I mean, I know there's not too many choices when it comes to Nintendo, but I would put it there with Banjo-Kazooie and all the other 3D platformers that Sony and Microsoft have ever made. But I would say Mario is definitely my favorite 3D platformer, and I love every single 3D Mario game. I would say my absolute favorite from the pack is Galaxy, especially on the collection. I think Hey, quit barking. Quit barking. I think Galaxy is the best thing about the collection. It looks really nice in HD. I like having the spin button. It was just a great experience. I'd say my least favorite was Sunshine, just because I don't understand why they inverted the camera. Like, my muscle memory from the last 20 years has been to press up to aim down and down to aim up, and like for them to invert that with Flood, it just completely messed me up like throughout the entire game, and like it was really difficult to like properly do a lot of stuff and a lot of challenges and shines. Excuse me. Because my muscle memory, like I just couldn't like grasp the fact that I press up now to aim up, and that like I even playing the game for as long as I did, it still tripped me up a lot. So I was really disappointed that they messed up not messed up, but they changed that. And I think it would have been fine had they given you the option to play the classic way, but they didn't. They just changed that, and that was it. Like there was no other way to play the game. So that was disappointing for me. That was really the main thing about Sunshine for me. I just really didn't like the controls in the collection. 64, I was pretty indifferent about it. I mean, it was just 64. People were saying, oh, it should be full screen and everything, but it didn't bother me. I had fun with 64. Gameplay wise, I think I like Sunshine more than 64, but as far as the collection goes, I like 64 more than Sunshine this time, just because the controls. They really, like, I wish they just gave us the option to map buttons the way that we wanted to, or invert the Flood controls, because it was really tripping me up, dude. It was really, really tripping me up. I just don't understand why they would take something that has been established for 2 decades almost, and then just be like, hey, we're gonna change this, and you don't have the option of fixing it. So like people who were hoping to speed run it on the collection, so like they all got like so messed up because there's all these intricate little flood things that they have to do in a speed run, and the fact that it's all backwards now, like it really like messed them up. And then they were like, oh, well, I guess I can't speed run this game on the Switch. I'm gonna go back to emulating it. So I don't know why they did that. As far as it like being lazy or whatever, I really don't mind. I thought it was passable for I think if they had put Galaxy 2, it would have been worth the $60, like flat out, no debate. But I just still would love to hear an explanation as to why there's no Galaxy 2. Hopefully we hear something about that eventually. But right now it's just kind of like, why was there no Galaxy 2? It really would have made it a complete feeling collection if you're gonna go the port route, at least. And make it very minimalistic in terms of the collection itself, like the title screen or the art or anything. Like it just needed Galaxy 2 if you were gonna go that route. And then I think it would have been completely fine for $60, $15 a game. That's not terrible for full 3D Mario games. I think that would have been a lot better than what they offered originally. But yeah, I enjoyed it because mainly I really love Galaxy 1 and 2. Those are my favorite 3D Mario games, other than Odyssey, which is my absolute favorite. But obviously Odyssey is its own game on the Switch already, so they're not gonna re-release it or anything. But yeah, it's funny because replaying these 3 Mario games, because I hadn't played Galaxy or 64 in a very long time. I did play Sunshine more recently, maybe like 2 years ago or something. I played Sunshine, but yeah, I hadn't played Galaxy and 64 in a very long time. And to play those games again, it kind of actually just solidified the fact that I love Odyssey as much as I do. I think Odyssey is by far my favorite Nintendo game, period, other than maybe Majora's Mask. Like, I am so in love with Mario Odyssey. I just think it's a fantastic game. It's beautiful. Like, I love the mechanics. I love the movement. I love the creativity of, transforming. I love the big worlds like New Donk and Sand Kingdom and Wooded Kingdom. I just love everything there is about Odyssey. I think my biggest gripe with Odyssey is the abundance of easy moons, but it really doesn't take away from the challenging moons and the fact that the gameplay itself is so fun and effortless to control that, like, even getting a lot of those easy moons is just so fun to me. So it really just solidified the fact that I love Odyssey, but I also love the 3D games, and I won't ever say anything bad about 3D Mario. And then the last question is from Silver1813. He says, do you think Falcon is sick in Ultimate? Okay, I think Falcon is a sick character. I think he's cool. I think he's flashy. I think that he represents Smash Bros. In a really cool way. I think he represents Smash Bros. More than he represents F-Zero, honestly. Because he's not really involved much in F-Zero. But yeah, I think Captain Falcon, like, as an idea and a character, is really cool. I think, however, his gameplay is like the most fake hype thing in all of Ultimate. Not saying that what he does isn't hype, but when people like go nuts over a falling up air into strong knee combo and say that's like the coolest thing in the entire game, like you're just, I don't even know what to say to you. Like, how do you think that is like the coolest thing ever? It's just because it's the knee, or it's just because it's the Falcon Punch or the dare. It's more the fact what it is that people say it's super hype, over than the fact that like what they're actually doing is like pretty bread and butter. And by the thousandth time that you see a Falcon back throw someone off stage and then go for a dare spike or a knee, like, is it really that hype? Is it really that cool? I mean, I have seen a lot of creative Falcon clips where it goes beyond that, but like, For someone to just be like, oh, when you hit sweet spot knee, it's the most hype thing ever. When you hit a reverse Falcon punch, it's the most hype thing ever. It's like, is it actually the most hype thing ever? And I disagree with that. I think it's cool, but it's not the most hype thing ever. So when people are like, Captain Falcon's the king of style because of knee and because of Falcon punch, it's like, no, he's not. But he is cool. So that's my thoughts on Falcon. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast. Great questions as always. I appreciate everyone who submitted. Make sure to subscribe to UCast as always, and I will see you guys next Monday for the next episode. Episodes every Monday, so I'll see you guys then. Have a great day. Deuces.